And for the second week in a row, we are here at Road Atlanta for RaceSpot Friday Night Prime Time. You have chosen once again the series that we will be competing in this race, and once again it is at Road Atlanta. Last week it was in the GT3s, this time it is in the GT4s. Myself, Cameron Roger and Zach Sweeney will be bringing you through all of the action tonight here for the GT4 Open. As I said, at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It's going to be an amazing evening of racing, a 30-minute race coming up for you. And Zach, as always, the community have had their say, they've had their votes, and we're back at Road Atlanta.
Well, they must love Road Atlanta because, yeah, well, actually, to be fair, not much of a landslide victory, only 10% ahead of Skip Barbara Bathurst, which was definitely would have been a very interesting combination. But no, we're here for the GT4s Open again, like we were last week with the GT3s, and again at Road Atlanta. But to be honest, I don't blame them. It's a great set of cars, and it's a fantastic circuit to go racing at. So we've got 30 minutes on the clock. Let's see how they do.
Absolutely. So if you are new to this season for the Friday Night Prime Time, we are having a vote. So if you want to get involved, get on the RaceSpotTV Discord, and there is a primetime voting channel. And every week there is a vote of 4 different series that run approximately this time on a Friday evening. And that whoever wins is what we'll be showing you. So it's getting the community involved so you can sort of vote for your favorite series and then get on the track and try and get into the top split. And you yourself might be featured on the broadcast. And as we say, this week we got the GT4 Opens. Previously, so far this season, we've had the VRS GT Sprint Open last week, also at Road Atlanta. And the week before that, we had the Pro 4-wheel drive off-roads at Crandon. And then to start, way back 4 weeks ago, we had the Touring Car Challenge at Spa-Francorchamps. And obviously, all these sort of series are more sprint-based series. And as we said, it's a 30-minute race tonight. GT4 cars. So there's 5 different cars to choose from. We've got the Porsche Cayman, we've got the BMW M4, the McLaren 570, Aston Martin Vantage, and also the Mercedes AMG. So, Zach, which of those 5 cars would you choose if you could?
Well, honestly, I've not really had any experience with GT4s here on iRacing, but based off just pure looks, definitely the McLaren 570S. Of course, the GT3 McLaren isn't the quickest in the world, but hopefully the GT4 can give them a bit of a run of bit of everyone else a bit of their run for their money, as we're seeing with Javi Pena up there in P4. But based off the timings alone, Cam, the top 3 are all in Mercedes. So, you know, considering, you know, what everyone's going with, the choice that seems to be pretty unanimous, it seems that Mercedes is the go-to choice.
It seems so, which is something similar that we saw last week in the GT3s as well, was the top 3 were also the Mercedes AMG GT3 that time round. So definitely something that is yet to be said, but I do think we have all of the different options out on the field. Yeah, we've got the Porsche, Mercedes, BMW, Aston, as well as the McLaren as well. So it's going to be good, and we'll see you through this qualifying session. As always, limited laps in qualifying, so it's difficult to get yourself, you know, up to speed. Obviously, there's loads of practice time, but when it comes to comes to the leaderboard, you've only got a couple of laps. Zach, it can be quite difficult to get that lap in.
It's all good in practice having, you know, laps upon laps upon laps to set a really good one and be like, oh, look at me, I'm really, really quick. But and then it's a completely different thing all in of itself to go into a session with that stress, that pressure, and that competitive nature, and then be able to deliver. It really does, you know, prove how fast you are, how good you are, if you can not only do it in practice, but also then do it under the stress as well as, you know, and again, as you say, you've only got 2 laps to do it. It's not like you've got a half-an-hour qualifying session to just go out, put as many laps down as you want, come in, have a bit of a break, you know, just chill out for a second, then go back. You have to do 2 laps on the bounce and then try and nail both of them, particularly the second lap when the car's all warmed up and nice and ready to go. So it is very, very difficult. But of course, with a half-an-hour race at a track like Road Atlanta and in cars like the GT4, you know, it's not like, you know, qualifying is going to be the be-all and end-all, but it certainly does help.
Absolutely, it's a tricky circuit. There's only technically 12 corners named, but there is a few more because, as ever with the American tracks coming into this chicane, the famous 10A and 10B. But that's also that is way too much speed there, and that is that BMW going for a bit of a spin coming through 10A 10B as we have just 1 minute to go of this qualifying session. And you're right. At this track, between turns 4 and 5, we have the S's section as well. So there's loads of corners which obviously don't count, but it is a very tricky circuit because the corners that it does have, they're all a bit irregular. They all have a lot of elevation change, and it's quite a tricky little circuit to nail.
It is, and yeah, of course the Americans like to be special with the way they name their corners, but hey ho, we have to just deal with it as it is. Sorry to the All Americans, especially our broadcast director, Zach Johnson, who is he's calling me rude, but don't care. To be honest, but yeah, no, Road Atlanta, it's an interesting circuit, and as you say, the undulation, the elevation changes, it just makes it a roller coaster. So not only do you have some good overtaking opportunities into 10A and 10B, that chicane after the long flat out section going into the braking zone, but you also have the physical challenge of just getting around the circuit itself.
It's going to be a very nice race indeed. I'm expecting some good action. I've seen a couple of clips here and there on the old Instagram of some racing around here in these cars. It certainly seems to have been producing throughout the week, and some nice contact. So hopefully we can see that continue. As we said, we got the 5 different GT4s coming through this wonderful Road Atlanta. And here is your grid for today. We've got Josh Pulane on that pole position with Alvar Gomez following him on that front row. Isaac Jean and Javi Pena in 4th place there. Then Ulrich and Vacher rounding out the top 6. And on to the next page, we've got Laguerres there, followed by Mickey Double. He was in the race last weekend. Fideli and Brandt round out your top 10. Exami and Verne rounding out the top 12. Musling and Correal in 14th place there. McLean Bedford rounding out the top 16. Planton and Demoncho there rounding out your top 18. We do have 24 cars here on the grid today. So for the final page, we've got Hamill Foe, Swords, Smith, Rosa and Lawrence for your 24 car field that will be going around this wonderful raceway. And Zach, what are you expecting? Expecting some close racing, expecting some battles, or more of a strategic race?
I mean, it's only 30 minutes. Still, even within that 30 minutes, you have to think long game. It's like you know, it doesn't matter how long the race is. You have to think about where you want to be towards the final last couple of laps, which is going to be the ever important factor. Because you know, it's all good going for a move on lap 1, but can you hold it for the rest of the race? Are you going to lose too much time? Are you going to bring more people into the fight if you do start to battle? And all those things. So you do have to be very, very careful, very particular as to where and when you go for those moves. But fingers crossed they go all out for it, because again, as I say, even though you have to balance that, you know, the fact that it's only 30 minutes with the fact you've got, to think long game, you still only have 30 minutes to make those moves. So hopefully it's going to be some gloves off racing.
And just remember, we as we go on to the formation lap, if you want to get yourself involved on the RaceSpotTV Discord, there is that voting channel for this Friday night prime time, and the vote for next week will go up. And you'll be able to have your choice as to what we go for next week for week 5. And of course, if you like what wins, you can get yourself involved and try and get yourself into the top split if your iRating is good enough to do so. But here we are onto the formation lap following the safety car round. Drivers obviously not having too long to really get any sort of heat in the brakes or into the tyres, and that can always create a bit of an interesting lap 1.
It can, because some people have nailed their warm-up sequence, other people haven't. And when you're going on to lap 1 with that uncertainty of how well have I done it, how much grip have I got, you've got a swarm of cars around you. Some people really thrive under that environment. Other people panic and get overwhelmed. And then very quickly, the people that thrive under that environment capitalize on the more vulnerable people and are then able to make their way up. But again, despite the fact there's going to be quite a bit of action you would expect on lap 1, there could also be quite a bit of calamity and drama. Also because Road Atlanta is not the easiest circuit in the world, and if you get caught out by some cold tyres, well, send prayers out to you.
Yeah, it's definitely a track where you need to have a lot of trust in those tyres. There's a lot of sort of long corners around here, longer apex corners than you might see at some more modern tracks. This track in particular has been around for absolutely years, and it has had very, very little changes in the sort of 50-odd years that it's been racing. One of the more notable ones is, of course, the famous turn 10 got turned into a chicane, and then there's been sort of various little tweaks through the S's downhill, and that's sort of sector 1 for the motorbikes as well. But the main core of the track has stayed around for so long, and because of that and the old school nature, it's just an awesome track. It hasn't been just riddled with tarmac runoffs and, you know, safer barriers everywhere. It's still a very old school track.
It's retained its, you know, its nostalgic feel, and yeah, you're very right in saying that a lot of modern circuits now do tend more to the safe side in terms of runoff, which, yeah, fantastic. We don't want, you know, accidents and fatal things to happen, but also it does make for you know, slightly easier driving in that sort of sense. But in the sim world, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, you're not going to get hurt if you smack into the barrier at 150 miles an hour. So these circuits are always going to be fantastic and always test the driver's ability to remain mentally focused and, of course, remain quick, because it's one thing to be consistent, but if you're consistently slow, you're not going to end very well up high in the timing tower.
Absolutely. Now, as we come through turn 11 and 12, around the final couple of corners, let's see when we go racing, and it looks like we are coming to the green flag. Around this final corner, Josh Poulain takes it away. He's got a nice lead there with Gomez and Jean there in that second row, starting to battle already as we come towards turn 1 for the first time here. Friday night primetime, green flag is underway, and we got 24 GT4 cars coming all the way up the hill now towards turn 2 and 3, and Gomez there looks like might be just dropping back into that third place for now, and actually being under attack from Ulrich as well, getting very close side by side as you come down the S's for the first time.
Pretty comfortable lead so far for Josh Poulain, who leads very, very comfortably over Isaac Jan just in behind, and then Ulrich, as you say, settling in to P3, and everyone just running single file, which is the sensible option through the S's on lap number 1. But we see side by side it's pretty much Mercedes dominated field, as yeah, you really do have to capitalize. You can either sink or swim on these open laps, fight a little bit further down the field. We right on board with this Aston Martin. He's under pressure a little bit from the Mercedes, but now the crucial bit can probably arguably, oh my word, that got very, very close towards the background, but arguably one of the most important corners on the circuit, this run out of turn 7.
Absolutely. I think that was Roman Foe having a little bit of a wiggle there coming through turn 7, and of course through the famous back straight, which is turns 8 and 9 on the calendar. Massive slipstream in these cars as we come down towards turn 10A, 10B. You see loads of overtaking in the tower as we come through this chicane for the first time. There's a battle for 9th place there for Delhi, trying to have a bit of a battle. He's going to get himself into that 9th place as it stands up and over the hill once again to come on to the start-finish straight to end the first lap of what is going to be roughly 22 lap race here. 30 minutes of racing in these GT4 cars, and certainly some nice battles there on the first lap.
Yeah, everyone's settling in nice and clean. We didn't see much in the form of chaos. Everyone kept it nice and clean, nice and sensible, which is what you like to see. But talking about the fight for the lead, it seems to be a lot closer between Thorsten Ulrich and Isaac Jan just in second and third than Josh Poulain, who has, you know, taken a hefty stride up in front, because yeah, he just managed to get away quite well. That's quite wide there for the second place Mercedes man of Isaac Jan, and he's going to be under pressure from the Aston Martin Vantage, a GT4 of Ulrich, and up into second place does go the number 8 machine. And yeah, a fairly comfortable move, and again, it's costly mistakes like that that really do add up over the course of this race.
Yeah, Ulrich with a nice start there. Second already, just in a lap and a bit. Gomez will be a bit disappointed that he dropped so far down to that 4th place, so he'll need to be trying to get that back. But look at the slipstream. That is going to come the way of that Mercedes-Benz as we come towards turn 8, 10B for another time around. He's going to be close enough to think about a dive. Is Jan? No, not quite close enough. Ulrich holds on to that 2nd place. For now, there's loads of cars there back in the top 10 also having a fight as well. So I think this battle is going to continue on for quite a while.
You would hope so, because at least for now everyone's staying nice and close together. So the fight for second definitely seems to be spicing up at least a little bit. You can see there Poulain just a bit further ahead than everyone else, but then behind that just a long train of cars that are running single file and trying to fabricate moves on one another. But at the moment, just trying to settle into this race, I think, you know, not going for anything too major. Again, you don't want to be fighting too hard, because especially in a train like this, Cam, even though, you know, it's not exactly for the race lead just yet, if you're fighting, you know, if you're in P5 and you've got got Gomez in front of you for 4th, but you also want to think of catching 2nd and 3rd place. You don't want to fight too hard over 4th place, because over the course of the entire race, you're going to lose that time to the likes of Ulrich and Jan. And you might fight really, really hard and gain 1 place, but what have you lost? You've lost 2-3 seconds to the cars in front, which again is really going to hamper you and stall your progress.
Oh, there's McLean getting inside the top 10. He's been making a couple of moves here and there, trying to work his way up, and Charlie there dropping down outside of the top 10, losing a place a little bit early to Fideli as well. So these battles certainly are sort of open the doors. If you lose 1 place, you can lose multiple positions, and is that actually trying to come back a little bit as well? I think that's McLean having to start defending as we come down towards 10A, 10B, and on the outside is actually Fideli there trying to potentially gain a position, I should say, round the outside. That's going to be a big move, big bold move, but not quite enough maybe on that 2nd apex. Yep, side by side still between the two, but actually in the background we've got another car, I think, with McLean trying to get up involved. He gets up into 9th place already, side by side once again. Is that going to be a double move for McLean outside, inside the final couple of corners? It looks like it might just be able to do so. 3 wide as we come up towards turn 1. That's not a corner where you want to be going too wide. McLean gets 2 places in the matter of corners.
Beautiful stuff, and still they're trying to go side by side there. That's Dobbel and Fideli running side by side in towards the S's, and you can see that bit of fighting has really brought the likes of Gianni Verne, Mausling and Phil Bedford, I think, also into the mix. They are very, very close, not much separating them at all, but beautiful, opportunistic stuff there from TJ McLean to get himself up into what is now P8 overall. So yeah, steady progress, and again, you have to make the most of moves like that, because already he's been able to gap them by a region of about a couple of car lengths. So if those behind start to battle, there's a move there from the Aston Martin Vantage. That is Mausling, I think, on the inside of Verne. They're still going to run side by side in towards what is going to be turn 6 and 7, and is ahead, but again, he's on that inside run through turn 7, and look what it's done to his momentum. He now is going to be under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, this is a big battle pack at this moment in time. It's almost, you need to overtake or you'll be overtaken yourself, and that's always a great position to be in for us as viewers, as we're getting the drivers try and make a move down towards turn A, 10B for another time, side by side in the braking. So Mausling, they're having to defend side by side. He's gone all over the chicane, and he's going to have to potentially give that back from the slowdown. Side by side on the exits as well, a little bit further back. We've got loads of these cars trying to go side by side. I think that's Platten there trying to make his way up a position, 16th place at this moment in time, and it seems like it's Dimuncho there just behind him, not able to quite make a move. But Brandt and Bedford up front having a bit of a battle as well, coming towards turn 1.
It's really all kicking off side by side still. Oh my word, they are really getting very close together, still running side by side in towards the S's. This is always going to get dangerous. You can see they're pushed wide, and oh my word, there goes Verne sideways, nearly into the barrier, just about manages to avoid further contact. But that is the danger of running side by side through one of the track's most tricky sections, and that's such a shame to see what a really good battle that was come to such an anticlimactic end.
Yeah, he saved that pretty well, but that's not the contact that you would want. But as you say, going side by side through sort of the turn 3-4 region of the track is not where you want to be. And obviously just being a little bit pinched there on the inside, the two not really giving each other too much space. As we come to this battle now for 2nd place, Ulrich under attack from Gomez, who's made his way back up into that 2nd place, diving it down the inside. Can he get up to where he qualified? It looks like he just about can, up the inside there of 10A and getting that position. So Jan has dropped off the back of these guys. Gomez retaking those 2 places he lost on lap 1.
Yeah, but again, it's, not what he would have wanted at all. Yes, he's made up for it, but that poor start has cost him 2 seconds to the race leader, Josh Pulane, who really hasn't looked back since the start. But on that last lap, Gomez matched Josh Pulane at 24.8 respectfully for the pair of them. So Gomez, the pace was there, but unfortunately didn't get off to the start that he would have wanted. So now what's going to be crucial is that Mercedes gets off and tries to fly away from the likes of Thorsten Ulrich and Isaac Jan just in behind, because if he gets caught up in a squabble, he will have no chance of catching the race leader, because evidently the pace certainly is there. He proved it in qualifying and he's proving it now in the race, but clearly getting tripped up in a fight that potentially he didn't belong in has proved that it can really mess you up.
Yeah, it's certainly can, and a little bit further back, and Platten gaining quite a few places. He got up into a 13th place, so the battle will continue a bit further down as well. But this battle for 2nd place is still continuing. The roles reverse this time around, but that is a bad exit there from Ulrich. He goes way too wide, cannot get the power down on the grass, and this seems like Jan's going to be getting that slipstream all the way down this back straight. Might be able to get himself back up onto this podium place that he was in for quite a little while, but then dropped down a couple of laps ago. Slipstream getting closer and closer as we get towards the braking zone, but the red Mercedes there not deciding to dive down the inside.
Thinking better of it, and maybe thinking of the long-term gains of being able to stay in tow. As we see this was moved from Lagares, I think, on Javi Pena, just going into 10A and 10B, up in a 6th place then, and probably was a pretty textbook move. We just caught the tail end of it there on the time and tower, but you can see now that McLaren is practically pushing him through the final corner of turn 12. Now looking to the right-hand side, here comes Javi Pena. Is he letting off on the brakes? It really is a sweeper as turn 1 here at Road Atlanta, and you can also see there TJ McLean trying to follow him through, using that open gap, and now he has got his nose into the inside. Is it going to be enough in towards turn 3 and 4? Yes, it is. What a move there from TJ McLean. Steady progress still proven once again for the Mercedes driver, up in a 7th place, and well, he was quite far back going into T1, but he certainly made it work, and oh my word, yet another spinner.
Yeah, we certainly have the thing. This is Phil Bedford there, the number 19 car, also the Mercedes, having a spin. That is on the exit of turn number 1, I believe, and I do wonder if that's a couple of cars trying to dive down his inside into turn 3 as well. I do wonder if that was just involved with another car or two. It is a sort of a possibility to spin yourself there if you really start pushing that rear left tyre. As you come out up the hill outside of turn number 1, you can certainly do so. As we're getting a replay here, he was side by side there, and is that going to be a bit of contact just on the exit? Couldn't quite see from that angle how unnecessarily bad that was, but certainly pushing the limits, those two drivers. And the Aston Martin on the outside, this will be a slightly better bit of contact there on the front end of the Mercedes, and just went for a spin.
Yeah, unfortunate, and again, even more fortunate for the two behind. They're running side by side, and oh, you cannot be doing that. That again is flirting with disaster. Same too with the drivers that are running side by side, and again the other drivers that were passing through at the at the wrong time. That an inch further from that definitely could have ended it in disaster, but fortunately it didn't. But again, at a track like this, as tight as it is, as narrow as it is, and almost that corner T1 is quite a long corner. You won't see it coming until you're almost too late to react to it. So Bedford, I think he's going to have to count himself lucky to not have caught up even more drivers in that incident.
Yeah, reversing onto the racing line, as you say, not what you want to be doing at all. But this battle is continuing for him, though, as we a little bit further down the field. 21st position as it stands. We've got Romain Faux on the back of him, and Maiko Rosa just ahead. So the battle for 20th place is still rocking on, just showing you how good these races can be. So as we said, if you want to get yourself involved, get your voting done on the RaceSpotTV Discord, and you yourself might be able to choose what you want to race next week at Friday night prime time. As we come back to this battle a bit in the midfield, Maxime Fideli there, the number 9 in P9 as it stands, trying to make some moves, but it is just so close between all of these guys.
It is, you really can't separate them by much whatsoever. But yeah, you can see TJ McLean and Javi Pena are also very, very close, leading the way in this train of what is 6 cars stretching from P6 all the way down to P11 of Kuratin and Zani, just at the tail end of it as well, licking onto the back of everyone. But again, these are the moments you have to be so decisive, and you really do have to think on your feet, because as you say, it's overtake or be overtaken, kill or be killed in situations like this. Yes, it's only for P6, it's not exactly a fight for the race leaders. Here goes McLean once again, capitalizing on his amazing run through T1. He really does nail it lap after lap and uses that to his advantage. Unfortunately not enough into T3, but certainly adopting that mindset of offense is the best defense.
Yeah, in the formation lap, you were mentioning about how being consistently fast is what's going to do you well, and McLean's done that so far. I think it was about 11th, 12th place there on the first lap, and just one by one has picked them off, and now to the outside, he's having a bit of a look into turn 6, trying to get the driver ahead of Pena offline, but no, he's actually trying to go outside even more. That's going to be a big bold move. McLaren's going to get a bit of a bad exit there off turn 7, still side by side between the two. You don't often see that one. That actually means he's not going to get the slipstream as they're still side by side, but it looks like it's just be the grunt of that Mercedes coming down through turn number 8 and all the way down this back straight, side by side still between the two. Fideli's going to be trying to get involved, get that slipstream, make it a double move, almost a bit of bunt drafting between the two as we come down towards turn 10A, but there's actually the McLaren there in the end that's going to be able to hold on, come back to the inside of Pena, just about holds on to that. I really thought he was going to be losing that place, but it just seems maybe McLaren's got enough straight line speed to hold on.
Just about, but it was very, very marginal indeed. And yeah, certainly a lot of people looking to try and make the most of those two in front, fighting and squabbling, because as soon as a gap opens up, you have to follow it through. Once again, McLean looking for the move down in towards T1, puts his opponent off, then sweeps out to the left, then cuts back into the right. He's not quite got the run that he would have needed to go for the move into T3, but you can just see he certainly has got a lovely view of the rear end of that McLaren 570S. Now running through downhill through the S, is really sweeping through. You've got to be committed, you've got to point the car and trust it will turn. And again, McLean is putting a lot of trust into Javi Pena to not make a mistake through there, because again, it's one of those, you're going to be too late to react to it, but being calm, being collected, staying as close as possible, because now it's crunch time for the lap.
Yeah, and there's Charlie there getting a place on double for 10th as well. So these battles still continuing rather nicely, but the way that the battle has worked, 6th place Pena is now quite some way, 8 seconds off the top 5 as it stands, but it's certainly a good battle. They're losing time to the leaders, so they're not going to be getting a race win or a podium as it stands, but it's giving us the action that we always like to see here, especially around such a good track like Road Atlanta. This back straight really giving loads of opportunities for the drivers to try and work up their positions so far. And that's certainly what McLean has been doing, but Pena's holding on. But in the background, we're getting a bit of a side-by-side battle again. Double getting back past Charlie there for 10th place.
Pretty good move as well, caught Gianni off guard a little bit, did Mikey Double, and is now trying to move forward. But you can just see in that one move in of itself, he's lost around about a second to those cars in front, so he's going to have to hope for that Constantino effect, bunches him back up and gets him back onto the back of this trainer. But yeah, still Javi Pena is hanging on phenomenally well. Is McLean going to go for the move? Again, he's teasing with it, he wants to go for it, but again, the opportunity just hasn't quite arose for the number 5 machine of TJ McLean. But still, we've got halfway of this race left to go. Is P6, you know, the ceiling for McLean? Does he know that? And is that why he's taking his time more with Pena than anyone else?
I think it's actually just been a little bit more difficult, but that is a run coming towards turn 6 and 7. Once again, we're starting to go all the way around the outside, which is actually not too bad if you can just make your opponents have a bit of a worse exit. And actually, Pena there goes a little bit narrow on the entry, I should say, of turn 7 through turn 8. Is he going to finally be able to get the run? And it seems like he's certainly close enough. He's going to be almost push drafting as we come down the back straight once again. And this is McLean trying to get himself up into this top 6 position. He's made loads of places so far, but this one has hindered him for a couple of laps. As we're going to get a bit of a dive, maybe nose. Pena just got enough top speed. McLean's looking to the inside. Can he just get his nose there? Not quite enough. He's going to have to sit behind once again, and it looks like he's just struggling a little bit as he got Lagares a little bit behind now, trying to also get involved. So the guys behind spinning around their places, but Pena still holding on.
Yeah, doing a really good job of it as well. I think we've also got quite a close fight for the podium places between Ulrich and Jan as well. They're only separated by about a couple of attempts, and also Vacher is also in that mix as well. So a couple of fights materializing up and down the order, but still another lap, and it's still Pena that leads the way of this train that spreads from 6th all the way down to around about 11th or 12th for a stretch. And now still it is same old deja vu from the last sort of 4 laps of Pena being pushed by McLean all the way through, and still Lagares and Fideli with no avenue through, because as soon as McLean goes to remove, the track is blocked and there's nowhere really they can go through. But this seems promising from the Mercedes, certainly having a look to the right hand side, but not quite enough to throw off the McLaren 570S of Javi Pena just in front. But again, this run through T7, we've seen how good that Mercedes clearly is in acceleration off his exit at T1, and of course down in towards what is T6. So that Mercedes definitely can get the move done in acceleration zones.
Yes, certainly can. I don't know if this is just necessarily a car thing. Maybe it's a setup thing. Who knows? Let's see. Let's find out once again as we come down towards turn 10A. Obviously, the best overtaking opportunity on a track. McLean diving it a little bit inside, thinking about it, but not enough to just absolutely send it on the brakes, trying to get a better run out of 10B over the hill, over through turn 11 into turn 12. Is it going to be a bit of a run towards turn number 1? You have to try and work your way up around this track. If it's not going to be into that famous chicane, gonna have to try something. But a little bit further in the background, actually, we're trying to look for Deli, trying to make a move up the inside of turn 1. He's just about made that one stick. Lovely move, diving it there. Not always a corner to overtake, because it's not the biggest braking zone in the world, but he's managed to get his car up there into 8th place.
Yeah, good move indeed, and making some steady progress towards the front of this train is Maxime Fideli, and has now got the two leaders relative to this train of Pena and McLean certainly in his sights. And if he can keep that momentum up, keep that progress strong, he could certainly take the reins. And maybe, you know, the guys behind are trusting McLean to go for the move for them in a sense, to open up the gap for them and, you know, give them an easier avenue through. But eventually what it will do is frustrate the likes of Fideli and Lagares, who say, don't, you know, start to lose trust in McLean to not get this move done, and they might want to start taking the reins, get in front, and then put the pressure on themselves. It is a trust thing, and of course with time ticking against them, we've only got around about 11.5 minutes left in this race. You have to start thinking about yourself, and you start to throw the long game, the patient, the nice mutual gentleman's agreement in terms of racecraft out the window, and start thinking about yourself.
Yeah, that is very true. It always gets to a point in the race. You're right, mid part of the race, you don't find your friends, but at the end of the race, it is every person for themselves, as you are just going to be going for every position that you can, as Vern and Platten there making some moves a little bit further down as well. So the battle's still continuing as this one does, but it just seems that Pena's doing enough to hold on for this moment in time. And this is an open setup as McLean there diving it to the inside of turn 3. We've seen that before, but not enough this time around. But yeah, maybe the open setup is working well for Pena. Maybe he's got something special in that car that can hold him on those straights.
He doesn't need to be quick through the corners at this point in time. You know, he's trying to hold a massive train of cars. It's certainly all aboard the Pena train, and he's doing a really good job of keeping everyone behind, at least for now, because McLean has got a really, really good run now to the left-hand side. He's got his nose in, but is it enough to sail around the outside of turn 6, or is he going to try and tuck him behind? No, he's not. The Mercedes goes the long way round. He's given a wide berth by the McLaren, who once again tucks on the inside, tries to cover off the cut back, and that's going to invite McLean to still go around the outside. We've got Fideli and Lagares trying to find their way through as well and see how they can get themselves involved in this bit of action. Still two abreast as they run their way through turn 8 and then of course into turn 9. It's all going to be decided under brakes. It's going to be Pena on the outside, at least for the first part of the chicane, but then McLean can bring it back and try and, you know, keep his nose in on the outside of the second part. And here comes Fideli. He's going to try and fill the nose in. Is it going to be too wide? And wow, Pena's done a really good job of holding his nose ahead.
He certainly has. And Doble in the background has been making some positions recently as well. So this battle, this 5-6 car battle, been swapping places all the time, almost every lap, it seems, apart from the front two who have continued their battle. And it is now Fideli followed by Doble and Lagares there in that top 10 battle for those final couple of places. But you can't forget Charlie, who's not too far behind either, as we're still seeing McLean trying to get so close in that Mercedes AMG. But Pena ahead of him in the McLaren 570 is doing such a good job inside the final 10 minutes now of this 30-minute race. And this battle itself has been going on for about 10 minutes or so, for pretty much a third of the race. How long will it continue? It looks like Pena has that straight line speed advantage, but can McLean find a way past?
Yeah, definitely need to be a lot quicker in the straights than you do through the corners, because, yeah, as we saw there, Pena with his straight line speed ability was able to just stay in front, even though he didn't get the best to run, was able to use that to his advantage and, you know, leave the Mercedes as a sitting duck just in behind. So, yeah, Pena doing a great job in terms of a defensive setup, and you can just see how well it's working because he's got a train of, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars just in tow behind him. So, yeah, doing a fantastic job, and now actually feeding McLean to the wolf pack behind him. The first of those is going to be Fideli, who's putting the pressure on. The McLaren pulling to the outside. There's also another one there of Doble trying to, you know, finesse his way through and try and capitalize. But again, they all have to run single file through 10A and 10B. So, you know, they're teasing us a little bit. They're flirting with it. They're wanting to go for it, but in the end of it, they're just not really having enough oomph really to fabricate these moves as much as they'd like.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier maybe the Mercedes was the way to go, but I don't know. The McLaren is certainly coming strong in the race, and of course, we always speak about this with things like BOP and everything that comes with that. It's also not just about the necessarily speed of the car or even the power, even the top speed. It's also how it controls its tyres throughout a stint. Even in a 30-minute race, you're going to be thinking about tyres a little bit and how much you can push them over the course of that time to get the absolute peak performance. And that is certainly something that a few drivers potentially can get right or wrong. As we're coming back to this battle for the podium, we've got Ulrich here and Jan behind him. They haven't been able to stay on the back of Alvar Gomez, who's pulled away by almost 2 seconds, over a second and a half now, to that number 1 car, who's got themselves back up into second. We saw Gomez drop down to that 4th, got back up into second after that, and is now just pulled away. So it's down to Ulrich to hold on to this final podium place, and so far he's doing a good job of it.
He is, yeah, and is certainly hanging on. It's been back and forth really in terms of pace between Ulrich and Isaac Jan, just in behind them, because yeah, it can be tricky because at different points in the race, maybe your car, maybe your setup is more tuned, maybe you yourself are feeling a little bit better at certain points in the races. And we saw earlier on how Jan was really quick at the start, fell off a little bit, and now is having a bit of a resurgence in terms of pace. And Ulrich again had that sort of same up and down in terms of pace and confidence and what have you, but still fighting to get over that podium place. And it is still it's a high ranking position, so both of them are going to want to go for it and really try their best to hang on to it, or in Jan's case try to get that move done. So especially now as we're approaching the last couple laps towards the checkered flag, it is certainly going to heat up and rise in terms of tension.
Yeah, I think we've got about 5 laps left of this race, and as we've mentioned a few times, the best overtaking opportunity down the back straight, of course, which means you've only got 5 more attempts to do so. And here is the first one here for Jan. Although actually, in the background though, we got some side-by-side battles up towards turn 7. I think Peña has finally just cracked 3 wide as we come towards turn 7. Double up the inside, making a double overtake, and that is a glorious move there. Peña is just dropping like a stone, seemingly maybe made a mistake coming through turn number 5, and already Fideli on the back of Peña as well. As we come up the hill once again, that might be the final time we see Peña at these positions. Look at all those cars lined up to take the place as well.
That's the problem with holding up such a big train. That is the danger that you put yourself under threat of, because as soon as one person finds a way through, as soon as you find a mistake, make a mistake, then everyone tries to freight train their way through, because as soon as that gap's open, you make the mistake, you lose momentum. You've got a whole queue of cars that are waiting, lined up to, they've been waiting for that exact moment, and they will go for it. And very much has been proven that Peña, did certainly get the short end of the stick with that one, but still hope, still can maybe get towards the front of this train again. But McLean, with the pace that he's shown, should, in theory, you would expect him to try and branch away from those behind. But Dobbel as well has shown some, equally good pace, equally impressive pace, and if he can hang on to him in that slipstream, put some pressure on, it's going to be a lot harder for that number 5 machine to break away.
Yeah, Peña did well to get back in the rhythm of things and not continue to lose those places. I thought he would have lost another couple of places coming down the back straight, and then that would have just been absolutely carnage. But in the end, it was just the 2 places. Dobbel, what a send in this corner last time around to get the places. So brave up the inside, but that is what you have to be in races like this, where it is just so close. And now onto the back straight once again, inside the final 5 minutes here at Road Atlanta for the GT4 Open race, and it's been a very entertaining one so far, but we've still got a few laps to see who is going to finish in what positions, especially inside this top 10 that have been giving us such a good battle over the course of the 30-minute race here at Road Atlanta. And into turn 10A once again, it doesn't look like anyone's going to be making any moves this time around, although actually maybe slightly later on the brakes there, and Dobbel having to make a late defensive move.
Yeah, certainly poised himself towards the apex, and it did catch out Peña a little bit by surprise. He tried to close the gap under braking, only to be caught out by surprise by the moving McLaren in front of him of Mikey Dobbel. That sort of scare has brought Fideli into the mix, so it's 3 McLarens fighting over these positions, because McLean has been able to break away to the region of about a second now, as we see Fideli again eyeing up that move into T3. We've seen that a number of times, people getting a good run into T3 but not being able to quite capitalize off it enough. But yeah, still it's certainly going to be the case of who flinches first in a fight like this.
Yeah, it certainly does. But McLean, after all this time, has started to pull away at the front there. But look at that battle behind. It is an awesome train we're getting here for the lower places as the laps start to count down. And we obviously getting towards the final couple of opportunities that you're going to get. And let's see if Peña can get that place back from Dobbel there for 7th place. So that orange car at the front of this little train is Dobbel there, 7th place for him, and this battle goes all the way down, quite a few drivers down to about 14th place really in the drivers, keeping in touch with this top 10 battle through turn 9 once again down towards the braking zone. We saw a little bit of moves last time around, but this time no, not anyone making a move just to get.
Yeah, still not quite close enough. They're there putting pressure on each other, staying very close indeed, but again not quite close enough really to go for any moves. And it comes down to that thing of just making a mistake, losing a bit of momentum, and then it completely rocks your world, and you do have a bit of an issue at hand, because at the moment no one's close enough, no one's being able to use the slipstream to their advantage, because it's sort of just cancelled itself out amongst everyone. because of that, yeah, it's just sort of cancelled out the moves and no one's able to close the gap enough to send it under brake. So it is going to come down to those mistakes and getting a better run and just being, you know, a little bit better than everyone else around you, because those small margins are certainly going to go a long way in a fight as close as this. It certainly is a shame this isn't for the race lead, but fair play to Josh Pulane, who has really taken off since the start of this race, hasn't really looked back at all and been under no pressure, and has been able to stretch his gap at the front to around about 3.5 seconds. But yeah, no, despite the fact it's not exactly for the most high-ranking position in the world, it's certainly good. And here, well, he's certainly won the fight for third place.
Yeah, Ulrich having to defend there, going towards the inside of the braking zone. Jan on the outside, can he get close enough? Not enough there. Under the brakes, Mercedes having to drop back into what is that fourth place as Ulrich comes over the hill through turn 11, remaining in that third place where he's been for quite a while. This battle has raged on, but it seems as we're now into the final 90 seconds of the race, we might just sneak 2 laps to go as well. And it seems like Ulrich is going to be able to hold on for now. But of course, we've seen the drivers swap their places and then swap back very quickly. So don't discount this battle going down to the final lap.
Oh yeah, and that's of course is where Isaac Yen is going to go for the move in its full effect, because that's when it really does count. Because right now Ulrich again is just going to tuck in behind and maybe go for a counter attack. So Jan's going to leave it quite late if he wants to go for it on the final lap. But again, that's perfect time to do it, because Ulrich's not going to have much opportunity to launch the counter attack and get him back. So yeah, it's been building up to this, and you can see Jan just filling the space, filling the mirrors of the Aston Martin just in front of him there, and trying to let him know that the pressure certainly is still on and is going to be unrelenting until the end of this race. As you say, about 1.5 laps left to go, and again, lots of questions still left unanswered in this race, and still a lot to unfold.
Certainly indeed, as we come through turn 9 once again, Ulrich going as far to the left hand side, which is actually the longer way, so yeah, might have a bit of a run as we come towards the braking zone. He's got his car just ahead, but who is going to be bigger on the brakes? It looks like Jan's going to be holding it around the outside. Ulrich trying to hold on as well, but Jan no, doesn't able to get the run. Ulrich holds on all the way around the outside of turn 10B, and as we come towards the final lap of the race, continues to be in that third place as Fideli has got past Pena in the background as well, but actually no, they swap back once again in that battle for 8th place. And as we say, the final lap is continuing now. So these are the final moves that these guys are going to be getting, and it is just so close. We still don't know what order they're going to finish in.
Beautiful defense from Thorsten Ulrich as well into that chicane. Knew that the outside line to get the drive off the corner would certainly be more beneficial than trying to hang on and or even back out and go for a cutback. So doing really well to hang on to P3, but yeah, now the pressure really does ramp. The tensions are as high as they were ever going to be in this race, more so than they were on the first lap of this race. But again, your opportunities count down. With each corner they go through now, it's one less opportunity for Jan to make the move. So you can see now he's getting a bit desperate, look into the inside of T6, but certainly trying to scare the Aston Martin offline.
And onto the back straight for the final time through turn 7 and through the little kink of turn 8. Can Ulrich hold on for another time? These guys have dropped off the battle for the lead just a little bit, almost 10 seconds off the lead, but they've given a good showing for everyone else as well. So can't forget about Poulain at the front, but we do want to see who is going to be winning in this battle. Jan to the outside, coming up towards 10A on the final opportunity of the race. He's going to have to hold it around this time around. Can he get side by side between the two through turn B for this final time? Jan up the inside. Ulrich though gets the run, gets the drive through turn 11 up towards turn 12. It's going to be a photo finish. Which one is going to get the lead? Mercedes or Aston Martin over the line? It looks like it's just going to be Ulrich on the tower that gets it. That is such a close finish between the two. What a battle, and that was only for third place as well. We can't forget Josh Poulain getting the victory in that one, followed by Alvar Gomez, but that battle for third was certainly the one to watch on the final lap, and it looks like Ulrich just got it at the line by thousandths of a second, and that is certainly what we want to see here at Road Atlanta. It looks like Pena in the end was able to hold on for that 8th place as well, and wow, Zach, what a finish there. That is just something that we love to see, and it's great to see what an amazing piece of action these GT4s can give us.
Yeah, for sure. The top 10 there up on your screen, but it was a beautiful photo finish between Ulrich and Jan. Less than half a tenth between them, Cam. You really can't separate them by more.
You certainly cannot. As we say there, Josh Poulain, the number 2 machine, getting the victory. We didn't really speak about him all day, getting the pole position and just running away with it with an amazing start off that green flag. Alvar Gomez dropping down to 4th place and getting back up again into 2nd place, but unfortunately not enough time to catch down Poulain. 4 seconds off the lead. Thorsten Ulrich and Isaac Jan there getting an amazing side-by-side photo finish, and as you say, just under half a tenth separated them across the line before we get Verchair there in that 5th place. Didn't speak about him all day really, just having a bit of a quiet affair in a world of his own there in that 5th place. McLean getting up many positions into 6th. Mickey Dobble in 7th with that amazing double overtake on Pena and Fideli, and Lagares rounding out the top 10. But that is not where the battles stop, because going down to about 14th place or so, we had such an amazing battle there with Charlie Morsling and Lawrence really on the back of that train that we are following for most of the middle part of the race. Callum Brandt there in 14th place, and Pierre Verne, who had that bit of a spin earlier, actually not doing too bad to recover to just 5 seconds off that massive battle in the midfield. Platten, Demencho and Hampel there rounding out the top 18, with Rosa and Smith rounding out your top 20. And on the final page of the day, we've got Phil Bedford there, who we saw having that nasty spin in turn 1. Swords, Corio and Foe having not quite the days that they would have wanted, being a little bit further down. And Josh Poulain getting the fastest lap with a 24.7 on lap 6. And Zach, Poulain, nothing could really challenge him today. He just had that completely under control.
Yeah, and while we did say that likes of Gomez and Ulrich at times were matching his pace, Poulain just had the consistency. I was looking at his best lap time. A 24.732 was his best lap over the course of the entire 22, and he was averaging sort of 24.7, 24.8, 24.9, low 25s at the slowest. He maintained that for the entire race, whereas others sort of slipped into the mid 25s, high 25s even at some point. And it was that speed and consistency, and the fact that he just got off to that good start. It was really beneficial for Josh Poulain to get that good start and get the ball rolling quickly, because if he had a similar start to Alvar Gomez, we certainly could have seen a very different result today.
And that just shows you how the execution of a race is so important, and that is exactly what Poulain did there, as we see him crossing the line in some slow-mo action. But that is just a hint of what we can see over the course of the next 8 weeks as well. As we've been saying, this RaceSpot Friday Night Primetime is your choice. It is for you to vote on what you want us to show, and there will be a vote in the RaceSpotTV Discord in the Primetime voting channel. Get your votes in there when it opens, and there'll be 4 options for what we'll be showing this time next week here at Friday Night Primetime on RaceSpotTV. It's been myself, Cameron Roger, and Zach Sweeney bring you through the action, and Zach Johnson on the production cameras behind the scenes as well. It's been great fun here at Road Atlanta. What will we get next week? We will have to wait to find out. But from here at Road Atlanta, we wish you a very warm